All right, we are continuing on from our previous video, which talked about how to make a post. This time we're going to be talking about how to add an image to your post. So right now, this is the post that we made. We're going to go click edit. We have to hover over it to get that edit button. So once we hit edit, it's going to bring our post back up. All right, so here we are, and we have our post as we made it last time. Let's say that we want to add an image after this initial text. That's really important. So all I did was I click up here and I pressed enter. When I pressed enter, it creates another block. This, I know it looks like this entire thing down here is a block. This thing up here with the instructions up here is also a block. So when you press enter, the default it's going to do is create a new block for you. So sometimes, let's say I'm going to copy all this. I will show you later why weird things happen whenever you press enter. Sometimes this puts more distance between your text than you want, because this is kind of like, most of you guys have never been in a regular typing class to realize what I'm saying, but it's like pressing enter twice. It says new paragraph. Well, what if you don't want to make a new paragraph? I know that we're here to talk about images. That's going to happen soon. But I think this is also important to add a little tidbit. So if you don't want to make a new paragraph, you don't want that much space, you can hit Shift, Enter, and that moves you down one space. So now you pressed Enter, Shift and Enter. So you made more space so you could start a new portion of that paragraph, but it hasn't put all that space. So I just want to make sure you know that there's two different types there. There's the Shift Enter and then just Enter that puts you all the way up there. That gives you that much space, right? Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, let's say you want to put an image right here. Well, this is a block. I just press Enter to create it. You're going to click Add Block, even though it's already a block, but you're going to tell it what kind. So right now, we are using paragraph blocks, and we know that because whenever you click these, like you click the block, it's got a paragraph symbol. You can change that. You really can. I'll show you how in a second. First, we're going to create a new one and tell it what it wants to be. So we're not going to make a paragraph because we already have some. You can explore with any number of blocks to see what they look like. That's half the fun in this world. But I'm going to search for an image because I wanted to add an image. I'm going to choose just an image, even though I may show you a media and text in a second. I'm going to choose just one image. Now this block is asking you, hey, what image do you want to use? You can upload one from your computer. I would suggest if you want to use images from a game or something, most of the time I usually search for Cyberpunk HD image or background or something, because those are going to give you some really nice high quality images, so you don't end up with a teeny tiny image where you want a big beautiful one. And the good thing about big images is you can make them smaller and it retains that gorgeous quality. Whereas if you start with a tiny image and try to make it bigger, it's going to look like you're trying to make a 1980s website, and there weren't very many back then because they looked awful. Anyway, that's not really why, but all the same, find a nice, gorgeous image, okay? It does take a little longer to upload, but it's fine. It'll do it. Sorry about my phone. But for now, we're going to choose Media Library because we've already got quite a few images already in here. And I actually have this file folder stuff set up. Most of your images that go inside of a post are put under featured images, but, there's other stuff too. So I'm here right now under all files. I wish I hadn't clicked that. I'm just going to randomly choose one. It doesn't matter. These are all mostly high quality images. Let's go to Cloudpunk. I really like the color scheme on that one. So I just clicked it. You don't have to touch any of this right now. You just click select. Boom. You've got an image in your post. Yay. Now there's more to this. This looks really nice and centered. You can't see me gesturing, but I am. It looks nice and centered in the middle of this white space page. That's not always what it's going to look like whenever you publish it. Like, I'm going to go up here to preview, and I'm going to choose preview in a new tab and show you what's wrong with leaving it just the way it is. First thing you notice is that Cloudpunk is the featured image, which is this big image in the back. The reason it does that is because my website, the way I have it programmed, is just in case you don't choose a featured image but you use images in your article, it's going to choose the first image that you use and make it the featured image. And the reason why is because this looks pretty darn cool, and it looks really empty if you don't do that. So it's going to default do that. Anyway, here is where the image actually is in the article. And I don't know if you notice, but it's to the left, which isn't a horrible thing, but sometimes it's going to look much better in the center. And that's what you don't notice. And then look at this one. Like, this actually ended up blowing up the image bigger than what we wanted to be because it looks really blurry and kind of dirty. So there's a few things for us to fix. So first one's we're going to fix Cloudpunk. So let me come over here and we're going to click on the image. No prob, right? And we can, this right here is choosing the alignment. We're going to say alignment center. Boom. Now we're going to save as a draft. It should just take a second because it was going much faster before I started recording. And as soon as it's done, any second now, there we go. We're going to come back over here and refresh our preview. And this preview should move it to the center. So it's still really terribly obvious that we have text that is wider than the image. That's going to happen, right? So that's why it's important for you to know that every time you press just straight enter and create a new paragraph, you're making a really wide, really short paragraph. So it may change the way that you write, just depending on how aesthetically you want your article to look. So next, let's change up this journey to oblivion, right? So let's go back. I'm going to come back to this, and man, it looks so much better on this tiny screen, but that's, you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So first of all, up here, we can choose whether it's on the left or the right. That's not really going to change the look of the image though. So what we're going to do instead is we are going to, usually when we click the image, for example, like with Cloudpunk, when we click on the image, see down here it says image dimensions. There's nothing in height because I didn't want it to use height as an indicator. I wanted for test results, like I'll undo it in a second and show you what it looked like, but for test results, I wanted you to see what it looked like if you had an image that didn't span the entire screen. So that's why I changed it to 600 wide, because that's all I wanted to think about is the fact that that image as it is, I wanted it to be about 600 pixels wide. I could take that out and just to choose like 75% of the image or 50% or 25%, and that would choose the size of the image. Just keep in mind that does not change. Like, that looks like it's good in relation to the text, but this text is not going to look like that. Remember, it's going to look like this. So you don't want the image to be that small. Not really. So what we actually want is 100% of the image, probably. Or let me just reset it all together. And see, it's going to make it a lot bigger, but let me save it as a draft. That's the original. When I hit reset, that's the original size of the image. I'm going to show you what it looks like because it looked much better. It won't actually let the image be bigger than the screen size. It will magically make it full width of the screen, but it won't go over that. So now let's go back over here. We're going to hit refresh. This is turning to be a much longer video than I expected. But see, it is full width. You know, it's leaving a little cushion on the side, but it matches the full width of the text. These are okay images because as you're scrolling through, if you have action stuff of the game, it just kind of flows just fine. Like, it's better if you have more text, you know, but what can you do? If you have more images and fair text in between, then that's also a fairly good viewer experience. But anyway, so we're trying to fix this Journey to Oblivion because it's just not the right size. Can I make it smaller? And I did that by, if you hover over the blue thing, it's going to change that. I do not know, because when I click on this image, it does not give me the image dimensions to play with. You can obviously change the text color if you want, which I don't know that we want to do that to ourselves. But you can change the text color. I'm going to clear it because I think it controls its own color. Like, it's this little gray, and that's the same across the entire website. So I'll leave that alone. But I can change the background. That looks ridiculous. I'm going to do it just for fun to see what it looks like. But I do not see where I can change like the actual dimensions, but I did make it smaller with this slider. So let's see what happens. Let me save it and then we're going to go preview it again. Now, normally your preview is going to be in the same, on a different tab. But again, I logged in as admin, incognito, so I could see what it actually looks like. Okay, so the image is a little bit better. It's just a trash quality image, just being honest. So that's why we're having issues. Scryfall has better images, and that's what we would want to grab for this. This was somebody else's save, so it won't get any better than this probably. This side, as you can see, does not look very good. I imagine I could change the text to either white or black. But I'm going to leave that up to you guys on what you do with this, because I think there's different ways that you could make it look okay, but it's got to make sense in your article. If it just looks like you randomly put an ugly color swash like this, I'm probably going to take it out and just make it standard colors. But if you make it look good and interesting and have, you know, there's reasons to do things, and I'm going to put a lot of faith in you guys for that. So, oh, I just did the back button. I shouldn't have, because I'm going here. But for me, I'm going to undo this. And to undo this, we're going to push clear on both of these, and that's going to clear it back to nothing. And so that's how you add images. And I'll be back to show you guys more information about the stuff on the side and other things you can do.